Wait, okay, I see you. But I just want to know one thing. You ready? Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God. Stop fucking lying. Always lying to me. You lying so much.
Hello, everyone. How's it going this evening?
Every time you tell me something, I figure that you're lying. Always fuck you lying.
Hey, everyone. We're live here. We got our show going. Anybody in the chat? You guys hear me? Show going. Okay, looks like we're live. It looks like we are. We got sound to check and everything. Folks, tonight's show is going to be about real life liars, and we've kind of experienced these before, and we've kind of got this pattern going. Like with Russian Deadpool, we had he was exaggerating his real life status, and there was some truth to what he was saying, but he was it was based on truth, but he would greatly exaggerate. Like for instance, with him, it was he barely did basic training, but he told everyone he did tours of duty as far as his military. As far as his martial arts, he was just barely trained, but he said he was this master. As far as his job, he was a security guard, but he claimed he was a federal police officer. So that's the pattern we see here with these liars: is their lies are based on truth, but they exaggerate it way up. And we've got two people lined up tonight and one of them's Dusty Smith and one of them's Tonka Saw, and it's going to be very interesting. And guys, stay till the end. I know you only got 3 watching, but because I'm going to do something kind of outlandish. Because what I'm going to do is it's just kind of a coincidence that this worked out this way. It's interesting. I'm going to say that their real life claims are lies. They're exaggerating. But funny enough, what they're exaggerating that they do in the real life, I actually do in my real life. It's just bizarre the way this is whole unfolded. So for an example, it would be like if I was just a creator was to say that he used to be a pro MMA fighter, and this is me coming along saying that guy's bullshit, and he was never a pro MMA fighter. By the way, I really was a pro MMA fighter, and I'm going to show evidence to all that. So I'm going to show evidence that they're lying, and then I'm going to give you a little thing that shows that I'm telling the truth about everything that I claim. So stay for that. But first, we're going to go over David Silverman, the American Atheist leader. I'm just going to go over how he's been the absolute worst for atheists. He's been the president of American Atheist since I think he was for about 5 or 6 years, and he came on. Let me go ahead with. I'm going to do screen share. Hope I don't fuck it up. Bear with me. My notes are coming down. Okay, come on. Screen share. Okay. Screen share now, and we're going to go to the Conservative Political Action Committee, and David Silverman, American Atheist president, opened up a booth at this convention, this conservative convention, and he told everyone, "Hey, everyone, a real live atheist conservative here." Put on this little dog and pony show and opened up a booth and said, "Hey, conservatives or atheists, look at me. I'm this atheist conservative." So let's listen to that. This is back in 2015 when I very first heard of the guy, so I kind of took his word on it. I don't know how clear.
Sir, was it going to be an atheist? Please.
Ask him.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Sorry if that's hard to hear.
question. Now, give me a fantastic.
So she asked, how can you be a conservative and an atheist at the same time?
Because conservatism and Christianity are not synonyms. Okay?
I'm talking about Christianity. I'm saying, how can you be a conservative and be an atheist? I'm not talking about Christianity. I'm talking.
So he's telling her that not Christianity, you're an atheist. Forget Christianity, you're an atheist, and you're conservative, and that doesn't make sense. Now listen to what he says. He says, we're not talking about Christianity.
Not Christianity.
See, he repeats it.
I'm talking about God. If you're an atheist, you don't believe in God.
Right.
Right, okay.
And so I believe in small government. You're gonna let me finish my sentence. If you're gonna ask me a question, you must let me speak.
All right.
I believe in small government. I believe in a strong military. I believe in gun rights. I believe in everything that you want to do should be your right. I believe the government's job is to stand back and charge you as few taxes as possible and give you as much protection as you need to live your life as you see fit. That is conservatism. That's this guy's conservatism. Very cool.
Now he says, what he's saying is he believes in gun rights. He believes in government stepping back. He believes in small government. He believes in gun rights. And that he's a conservative. Okay. Now we're going to go to Sargon's roast of him, and we're going to listen to what he says about about him being a conservative here.
Because you really can't get over this, can you? You know, like politically, where do you find yourself?
I'm not a conservative. I'm a fiscal moderate and I'm socially very liberal.
Okay.
And I am a loud and proud feminist. I don't allow anybody to take the word feminist away from my name.
David, you can absolutely keep the word feminist. I personally would rather it if you would keep it away from me and stay with the man-haters, because
You see, now, does that sound like a conservative, someone who's central on the issues of the fiscal things, and then very, very far left on the social issues? But he put on this, like I say, he put on this dishonest dog and pony show at the CPAP convention saying, hey, everybody, I'm a conservative, blah, 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 and heard him say he believes in gun rights. Let's hear what he says about gun rights. I got a clip here where he's talking about gun rights.
It's a big deal having a car. It really is. Like I have never spent. I purchased my rifle. Actually, my rifle was purchased for me by my father, and I have a small 22 rifle, and those were both purchased. And that's the only money. That's the only regulation that has ever happened for them. Not $1 has been spent in checking up on where they are. They could be anywhere in this country right now. Nobody has ever looked into anything that I have ever done with those two guns. They're still in my possession. They still have trigger locks, and they're still very safe in my house. But that's not always the case. So, I mean, I don't know. If it came to it where I had to put up a little bit of money every year, every couple years, and they had to check and see where my guns were, and maybe I had a limit as to 100 rounds or 50 rounds, which why would you need more than that in all reality?
Saying you only need 50 rounds. That's David Silverman saying that he's okay with the government storming in your house and making sure the papers are in order, and they can check your gun and they can limit you to 50 rounds, which is absurd, especially if you do target practice or if you're trying to prepare for maybe some crazy times ahead. So what you see is the dishonesty of David Silverman right from the beginning, and you see that all along. But the main problem that I had with David Silverman, and if I could go to the interview I had with Friended, the live stream I did with Friended, we talked about David Silverman a little bit. This is like 2 months before this whole shit went down with David Silverman, where I'm kind of pointing out that I'm real side-eye about him claiming the conservative. And the reason is because when this whole Reason rally thing went down, he was all about LGBT safe spaces, and we need to have this little space for the LGBT to feel safe and play with crayons, when most gay people just want to be treated like regular people. But that was conflicting with me. He's saying he's a conservative, but he's acting like a real regressive. And so I wasn't buying the fact that he was a conservative.
They're not, spreading it out. It's just religious people, very religious people coming to that ark. But the point is that they are so anti-Christian they're not being atheists. They're being they're being progressive ideologues rather than atheists. Well, the right thing you should do, I mean, to be an atheist, you know. And the other thing about the ARC thing is the American Atheists, the national group, you've heard of them?
Yeah,
Silverman, definitely. The guy named Silverman is in charge of them. Okay, they put out these billboards about that ARC, protesting the ARC. Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm.
And it said,
no, I know Silverman is actually a conservative, though.
Yeah, he's a conservative. Well, if you look into him, you know, the whole social justice thing, he's pretty bad. With the whole Reason rally, he was pretty bad.
Yeah, I kind of briefly, I didn't articulate, but I was saying how he was being such a regressive during the Reason rally. This guy who claims he's a conservative, and he was put on this dog and pony show to try to lure in conservative people, and lied to them and said he was a conservative.
But anyway, what was I going to say about that?
Sorry, I interrupted you. So
that's the train of thought there.
They're making the American Atheists are
the billboard. That's what I was talking about. So if the American Atheists wanted to put out a billboard, a good billboard that they could put out is, hey, everyone, I said, we're open to possibilities. Come visit our websites. We have weekly meetings. Join us. Look at the possibilities, right? And that would be a great billboard. It would kind of show that atheists are level-headed. We just want to discuss what billboard they trolled the Art Museum. They put up billboard that says incest at the park. And you know what they mean by incest, right?
Because of the stories,
the false story shows that Noah, I forget, Noah had a baby with his son's wife or something like that, or begot his son from his something like that. There's some incest in there somewhere. So when people see that, that just totally blows out any credibility that the atheist community could have had, with the mainstream and just the general public in general. And it shows that it's just vitriol social justice warriors in the atheist mode.
Okay, what I was trying to point out here is that the mainstream atheist associations have absolutely blown it by being trolls like that, like the Ark Museum. They're being like high school trolls, putting out billboards. Noah's was incest, and they put out other billboards that were just in your face, rude. Now I'm going to explain to why I think these billboards were a complete failure and mistake, and they've shown this whole atheist movement's gone down the drain because of this bullshit. Imagine you are in a Christian family. Your parents and siblings go to church. You go to church. You adore your pastor. You love your family who are devout Christians, but you're starting to have doubts about how maybe the whole thing is made up and the Bible is just written by man and there's not really Jesus in heaven and all this, and you're starting to have doubts. Okay, and here comes the mainstream atheist community, putting up billboards saying, religion's a scam. That was Silverman's billboards. Religion is a scam, it doesn't make much sense because the vast majority of religious people, they go to church, they volunteer their offering, and the offering money they give, they get a church building that they use. I mean, I don't see what the scam is. Scam is just kind of a weird word to use. And during that interview on Fox View with Silverman had, these Christians, Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity, were trying to tell him that you're being an asshole about this whole thing. And the only thing everyone remembers from that is the tide go in, tide go out comment that Riley made, and everyone makes fun of it. That's the gravity of the moon, you dumbass. But they were actually making a good point. They were giving you some feedback about how this whole thing is working, and I'm going to show you that. I'll go back to the Sargon video, and during the Sargon video at show that Silverman with O'Reilly, and then a Sean Hannity later is trying to tell him that you're just being insultive and it's off-putting.
One of those people who's famous for popularizing atheism by insulting religious people. And in fact, he was so good at this, he became a meme back in 2011.
The message says this about religion. You know, they're all scams, picturing Christian, Jewish, and Islamic symbols on the sign. So what's going on? There's now David Silverman, president of the American Atheist Group, which is responsible for both billboards. So why the insults?
Well, they're not insults. They're truths.
We just heard Nancy Pelosi said that it's pay as you go. So let's try to get
This
into
isn't
the
about
truth.
pay as you go. This
All
is
right.
about telling the truth. Now, people.
So he's trying to tell you it's an insult that, you know, the person that's receiving the message is going to tell you how that shows up in the world.
You say if you
Because we're saying what we believe.
no.
That's
Let,
not.
let's
that's
just
not
be
us insulting.
let's just be regular guys instead of I'm a Catholic, you're atheist. We're just regular guys now, okay? You say something's a scam.
Yep.
On
it
a
is a
sign,
scam.
and then you come in here where millions of people are watching you and say that's not an insult. What does the word scam mean to you?
Scam means it's deliberately misleading people. And
That's not an insult.
It's not an insult to the people. The people are just following.
It's not an insult to the people.
It's a statement to the people who are following the religion.
Okay, so I think we've made the point. Bill O'Reilly is clearly very insulted by David Silverman calling his religion scam. But that's okay in David Silverman's world.
Attacking the people who are in the pews. Wait a minute.
Wait. No, I'm stick with the insult because this is certainly an insult in my opinion, and I know I'm not the smartest guy in town, but okay. So
And we'll skip up to
criticizing people. We attack them.
here's
Just
all.
so you know, I'm all in favor of insulting people if you feel insulted by them.
But that's not the argument. You want to insult people. You want to attack them. You want to, stick them in the ribs on their holiday. And you just want to be rude and narcissistic and mean. Why? Sean, we have never put up a billboard criticizing people. We criticize religion, and religion is perfectly open market.
But people believe in religion. I'm a Christian. I look at a picture of Jesus, and you just want to rub salt in a wound.
No.
Why are you doing it that?
See, he's just trying to tell you, Robbins. That message could have linked to a website and said, come explore the possibilities, something a little more inviting than this insulting in your face, dump the myth and the Jesus that they respect. I mean, it didn't work. And this was David Silverman's whole shtick. And what you have to realize is, like, the vegans have the same argument as the atheists do. They both are saying that religion / meat eating is bad for the world, right? And that you should dump it because the world would be better off without that. It's bad. And come to atheism / veganism. It's the same message. Dump that you're doing. It's bad. Come over here to our side of non-religion, non-meat eating. And if I can go to Devon Tracy was mixing it up with the vegans, and here he's explaining how the vegans' argument is not working. Okay?
You have to have a sufficient amount of caring to even talk to someone. Now, I'm making this video because I find it to be whimsical, and I have an audience to entertain. Not to mention, you freaking cunts do this to everyone, and I'm trying to help you people because I'm pro-vegan, and your tactics are fucking lame and don't work. And I'm here to tell you that as a representative of non-vegans. It's not working. Debate me! The vegan kumite to end all kumite. Stupid ass. Okay, so there's two videos here. One.
So what he's saying? So what he's saying there is he's saying it's not working. You're in your face. Meat eating is evil. Debate me, bro. Type of tactics. They don't work. You need to come with a little more tact, and you can make that exact same argument over to the failed David Silverman type of argument that he was making, insulting the. Let me go back to that here, and Let's see here. He says, Sargon talks about it a little bit about his,
Are the arsehole to Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and millions of other Christians. You are the arsehole to Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and millions of other Christians. And I'm on your side on being an arsehole to millions of Christians if you feel it's necessary. It's okay to be an arsehole if you want, just not all of the goddamn time.
so he's saying Sargon's agreeing that you've gone way fucking overboard with the in your face, your religion sucks, and how that's going to be completely ineffective. Just like Devon Tracy said is explaining how the vegan argument, the same thing, doesn't work. It's not going to lure you any new people in. But you heard David Silverman say he's a loud and proud feminist there, right? Loud and proud feminist. Well, let's see how that loud and proud feminist. Oh, I don't even have that clip in here where he's accused of.
Is not accusing me of sexually harassing her.
Because I really am glad, and it honestly, at a time that was
other people because of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited about that.
Talking to the man who did this, and he's saying
the big challenge,
to millions of Christians, if you feel it's necessary, it's okay to be an asshole if you.
And I think that
it's not that people actually already hate you, regardless
Let me
of
try
your
to
status
find
as
that.
atheists, because of your status as feminists and the way you guys act to other people because of that.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm really excited about that.
Covering up, not that you assault.
Here's where he's getting us now. David Silverman is a loud and proud feminist, so we've got to listen and believe. Here he is being accused of sexual assault.
Multiple women, but the fact that you are yet another male feminist who is covering up for their own despicable actions. I have done nothing wrong. You absolutely have. David Silverman, a firebrand atheist with a knack for generating publicity for his cause, has been abruptly fired as the president of American Atheist, one of the leading secular organizations in the US. The group's board held an emergency meeting on Tuesday evening and unanimously voted to fire 51-year-old Silverman based on explosive written allegations of sexual assault and undisclosed conflicts of interest. BuzzFeed has learned. Wow, you're in bed with such good people. Last night, the American Atheist Board of Directors voted to terminate David Silverman as president of American Atheists, they said in a statement. The board made this decision. It seems you needed that code of conduct after all, doesn't it? I mean, if you're planning on having male feminists in a room full of women, you're going to need one. So Silverman's lawyer said, Mr. Silverman denies any wrongdoing and has never had a non-consensual sexual encounter. Well, I'm afraid, David, you don't get to decide that. The woman who is accusing you gets to decide that, and as good feminists with our pink pussy hats, we have to listen and believe.
Yeah, see what this Sargon's saying is, David Silverman, you're a loud and proud feminist, so we're going to go by the feminist standards, which is listen and believe. So that what he was actually accused of was pushing a woman and inserting his finger into her vagina forcefully, which is exactly what Brock Turner did. And now he's fired from his job as president of American Atheist. So here's this, loud and proud feminist assaulting women, jumping all over women, which we don't know if that's true or not, but we're going to listen and believe because you're a loud and proud feminist, David Silverman. Here's David Silverman, the loud and proud conservative, who he's now admitted he lied about that shit. This guy has been the absolute worst leader for atheism. And this just shows what an absolute dishonest fuck he is. All along, he just says whatever, will get him through the day, being dishonest all the time. And we've shown that. I just wanted to kind of go over David Silverman about how he's been such a dishonest charlatan the whole time. His tactics were dead wrong. They were proven failure. In your face billboards, high school trolling billboards instead of having an adult conversation with people of faith and saying, hey, does anyone want to If anyone has doubts, would anyone want to discuss with us? No, he wants to get in your face on billboards. Dead wrong, retarded, stupid, good riddance, Dave Silverman. Okay. And we're going to move on to our Liars Club. So let's do the, I'll tell you what, let's do the, I wanted to go over Devon Tracy's, where is that? Stance on guns. And I was going to show you how, kind of give an argument how his stances on gun is dead wrong. Let me check the chat here. I'm on live screen. Anybody here? Oh, I have been watching, guys. Sorry. Mitch, how you doing? Red Pill Cuck. Strange Dave, how you guys doing? Fixing to maybe ruffle a few feathers here. We'll see. But going back, just wanted to see how you guys are doing. Okay. Now we all, it's kind of, everyone kind of knows what Devon Tracy's stance is on guns, and what he's basically he's saying is, if we take all the guns away, the criminal is going to be much less likely to have a gun, and that's going to help all of us stay safe from these gun deaths. Now that's bullshit, because indisputably, I'm going to make the argument that having a gun to defend yourself at home is absolutely indisputably the only way that you must defend your home. So I'm going to give you kind of a scenario here, and I'm going to give Devon Tracy the actual benefit of the doubt. We're going to talk about someone bursting into my home, okay? And first of all, we're going to go by, he says that if we if we take all the guns away, and the criminal is going to be much less likely to have a gun. Well, I'm going to give him the biggest benefit of the doubt I can. I'm going to say that we're going to live in a world. This is going to be a scenario where guns have been confiscated. There's a real good chance, and that burglar is going to, that guy who's storming through my front door, he is not going to have a gun, right? He is not going to have a gun. But me, as a law-abiding citizen, I've had the gun taken away, so I don't have any guns. So I'm defending my home with no gun. But I'm going to give myself a knife, and I'm going to give him a knife, okay? And then the other world is where we have guns, and given Tracy the benefit of the doubt, because he's worried that so many more criminals are going to have guns. In the world where guns are allowed, that criminal is going to come through my front door with a gun. Just like he says, it's more like well, I'm going to say there's a 100% chance he's going to have a gun now. Okay, in a world where guns are allowed, I'm going to defend myself with a gun. So we've got two different situations: gun control and gun rights world. In the gun control rights, he's bursting into my home with a knife, and I'm defending my home with a knife. In the gun rights world, he's bursting into my home with a firearm, and I'm defending my home with a firearm. Now, first you have to realize that when you're in your home, your right to preserve your safety, you have the right to do whatever you want, whatever you can do to preserve your and your family's safety in your home, okay? You also have the right to fight that criminal from foiling his crime, stopping him from bursting in and stealing all your stuff and whatever he's going to do. You have every right to foil his criminal act in your home, okay? So we have two situations: knife fight, knife on knife, gun on gun. Now, if I lose either one of those fights as a homeowner, I have an equal chance of dying, right? Because a good stab in the torso, I mean, you can survive a gunshot wound. A good stab with a knife in the torso could kill you just as easily as a gunshot. So in the knife on knife fight, if I lose, I'm probably going to have a good chance of dying. At the gun on gun fight, if I lose, I'm going to have a good chance of dying. Okay, what if, now let's look at those two fights, and if I win the fight, or if there's no clear winner, right? if I win a knife fight, knife fights are bloody. I'm likely going to get stabbed and cut a couple of times, right? I'm going to have to come up to him and approach him, right? So if I win a knife fight, I'm going to get injured. If I win a gunfight, my chances of injury are a lot less. I probably shot him dead and he didn't get a chance to shoot me. So it is impossible for me to preserve my safety and foil the criminal without me having a gun. It can't be done. And I'm not going to be the big bad guy. So if any bursts in my home, I'm going to tear his head off. I'm going to say I could be any size. I could be a little guy with no fighting skills at all. So if I don't have a gun, the only way for me to preserve my safety is for me to run out of the house and let him have his way, which is ridiculous. It's not allowing me. You must have a gun to defend your home, to foil the criminal, and to preserve your safety. Now, listen to what he says about what's going to happen if you collect the guns and ban the guns.
We have 300 million guns to contend with. And I agree, I have sympathy with the argument that if you take away guns from legal people, then the criminals are the only ones that have them. I agree that that is a problem.
Okay, he agrees that's a problem. When you take away the guns, the criminals are still going to have them. Okay, so let's look at scenarios about having a gun in those situations. Guns are made illegal. The criminal could still have a gun. And he is going to not listen to the laws, so there's a still good chance he has a gun. Me, I'm a law-abiding citizen, so in this scenario, so if guns are legal, there's no chances. I must have a 0% of having a gun. There's a 0% chance I'm going to have a gun because I'm going to abide by the law, and I'm not going to have a gun as the law has by Devon Tracy's once is there. If guns are allowed, there's a 100% chance I'm going to have a gun, because if guns are allowed, I'm going to have a gun because that's what I feel and that's what is best. So in his world where the guns are taken away, there is hard telling what the percentage is, but there is a certain percentage chance that that guy bursting through my door to invade my home is going to have a gun. Now, with the laws, maybe it'll be a little bit less. Who knows? Maybe not at all. But there's a chance he's going to have a gun. With gun control laws, like I said, there is a 0% chance that I'm going to have a gun. Does that sound fair? You see why, due to home defense, the taking away of guns for home defense is an absolutely retarded argument. It's retarded. But that's not the depth of the retardation of Devon Tracy's gun debate ideas. The most retarded thing that he will ever say is that he is saying that here in the West, where there's not a lot of crime, there should be gun control. The guns should be taken away. No guns. It's going to be just like Japan. The U.S. is going to be like Japan. Okay. He also says that in places like South Africa, where the white farmers are under siege, they should be able to have a gun. Now let that sink in. Just kind of let that sink in. You know, places that are less crime, no guns. Places with more crime, they have guns. Now, on the South African thing, what are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, only whites get guns? No. The white farmers would get guns, but so would the criminals. As I explained, that's a better situation. Okay? So, but he's got the situation, yes guns, no guns, based on how much crime, chaos, and, you know, murder and violence there is. If there's a lot, you need guns to protect yourself, according to his South African little rule. If it's peaceful, there's no guns. Okay, so I got this in this argument with the vegans about their yes and no. They're saying no, I can't have meat because I'm close to some supermarkets that got a lot of varieties. They're saying yes, the person up in northern Alaska living off of seal meat he can kill animals. So there's a no and a yes. So I told them, you're going to have to draw a line somewhere. Somewhere there's going to be a guy who can eat, who can kill animals, and his neighbor is going to not kill animals. You're going to have to draw a line because it's a yes or no. Yes, it's kind of the way I explained it. Yes, or no, I can't eat meat. Yes, the Alaskan can eat meat. Okay, let's put a house every mile between me and that Alaskan. Between which houses is the yes or no point, right? You have to draw that thin line, and every time I ask them that question, they avoid it. They have no answer. So Devon Tracy's little gun world is going to have the same thing. There is crime in the U.S. There's riots. We've had Berkeley riots. There's kidnappings. There's murders. There's rapes. But there's a certain amount. There's 25 per 100,000 or whatever it is. There's a certain number. Okay, in South Africa, there's all this chaos. Let's say he wants them to have guns, but he wants the peaceful. There's got to be a dividing line. There's got to be a certain amount of murders per 100,000 where there's yes guns and no guns. Again, it's the same problem. There's got to be a thin line. So let's do the Tracy scenario. We're going to give guns to people in South Africa where the murder and the violence and the chaos is so heavy, right? So they've got their guns. Okay, let's advance 50 years from now. South Africa has completely changed. It's gone very peaceful. They've got less crime than even than the US or France or Japan. It's just gotten really peaceful. Okay, now according to his scenario, it's time to take the guns away. See how that is absolutely objectively retarded to say that the countries that have less crime don't get guns, and the countries with more crime does get guns. And can't you see how that's throwing guns at a violent situation? It's absurd. It's beyond absurd. Absolutely beyond absurd. Okay. Checking in to see if anybody's watching. We got 5 people watching. Mitch, how does not believing in God hurt the West? Yeah, not believing doesn't hurt, but it's the atheist saying that religion hurts, when religion is just people freely expressing themselves, just like any other expression. Okay? Each person has the right to be religion, their right to express themselves. Now, Islam, yeah, as religion shows up in the real world as harmful, we can criticize that. When they throw gays off buildings, when evangelical preachers say being gay is evil, that's real world harm, and we can attack that. Religion as a whole, no. Okay, we're going to be moving on to Dusty Smith. And Dusty Smith, like I say, with the pattern with these real life braggarts that are lying about their real life statuses is these are based in truth, but they're exaggerating them. And that's what Dusty Smith did. He said he was a porn millionaire by 23, and they retired. Now, I think the reason that he said this lie was that he was selling his get rich quick seminar book about how you could get rich quick with your own porn website. Now, we've all seen these get rich quick type of pitches. It's always the guy pulling up in the Ferrari. He's super rich, and he's going to tell you his system, and you're going to be rich just like him. So you got to put on that scenario. And so when he was selling his get rich quick scheme for doing porn websites, he had to show that he was balling it on the when he was doing it. So he ended up lying. And let's go over this tweets here, and this is going to show everything. Okay, let's look at his tweets. Yeah, I know. I'm old and lame. I'm just the dude who was a porn millionaire by 23. Now he's 43. This is 1998. Wrote 3 books, blah, blah, blah. Spent a decade. What the fuck do I know? You were a millionaire? Are you not anymore? Nah, I blew it on super stupid shit. So he's admitting whatever money he made. We don't know. I don't know how much money he made, that he blew it. Uh-oh. Must move to the top again. Nah, I understand. Don't long to be rich. And so I reply, are you ever going to admit that you exaggerated the millionaire shit to help sell your own adult autopilot crap? Hey, everyone, make millions just like I did. Now you're stuck with the lie. That's why someone who claims to make million now lives in a house worth $14,000. Now I explain this over here. Mike, you've got me savagely interested. How do you know so much about Dusty and how his house is worth $14,000? Rob, let me put it in perspective for you. I've made less money than Dusty, according to his claims, in the past 20 years. I've raised a family, have a nice $20K appraised, $280,000 appraised house, which has now been appraised at $330,000. My last appraisal in South Fork Horse Country outside Dallas, paid for, and have substantial retirement. Dusty is single, no kids to pay for, is broke, and lives in an all-black neighborhood with a $14,000 house, which is what he said on Twitter. He was mugged last week as a result of his low-income situation and high-crime hood he's had to live in, all from supposedly making more money than me. Does that sound kind of odd? Dusty, I was mugged in a different town. Me. You refute you refute the mug location, that's it? Oh, LOL, case closed. Okay, Dusty. How much did you really make prior to 1998 in dial-up internet porn? So that's what he had to make. He had retired in at 23, which is 1998. So he had to make these millions in porn during the infancy, where there was a dial-up, there was no video, there was no payment gateways. The internet back in, I don't know if you remember, back in 1998 consisted of, it was basically, as far as money making, internet was an advertisement page. So a 1998 website would be a page, and you'd have your 1-800 number. And if you wanted to process payments, they called that 1-800 number, and you processed their payment over the phone. Payment gateway was in its very infancies, and they were not in porn. I researched this. Me. So you claim you made all this money by age 23. This puts you making all this money prior to 1998, when the internet was at its infancy. Credit card payments weren't open up, especially to porn sites. Credit cards were in full spring. Now, like I say, he could have done this. He could have had these sites and could have had a staff of people on the phone, but he sounds like he pitched it as just a guy on a computer doing this hacking type stuff and doing these rollover things where you get more and more traffic and then you make all this money. But he never goes into how you get the money. So he's starting to get caught in a lie here. Online credit card processing was in its infancy back then. Sites had to advertise phone numbers. Total e-commerce worldwide was only 10 billion back then, which is tiny for worldwide. I had a site in 2003 selling my book. People sent me checks in the mail. Yeah, I had a website and I was selling a book. And people would send me the checks. I mean, back then this is 5 years after what he claims. People on eBay were still paying by check. The PayPal thing and all the internet interface with credit card processing was just non-existent back when he says he retired. And he claims that you can go check out on Facebook. And I was putting out, he's already caught lying. I clicked off of it. He's already been, he said, this guy says, Dusty, maybe it's time to dig out your bank statements and show them to Mike, who appears to be roadblocking you every step of the way. Now I'm explaining. So I said, he's already been caught lying. I made $1.5 million in porn. I was a millionaire. A huge chunk of that went to taxes. To be a millionaire, you have to be worth $1 million. Everyone knows that. To be a millionaire, your assets minus your debts and liabilities have to be over $1 million, then you're a millionaire. That's, so I want to explain. So if his total he made was 1.5 million before taxes. Where does he say that? A huge chunk of it went to taxes. Yeah, that's where he said it. Okay, here's the important part. Credit cards were in full swing. Most money, okay. And here's how he says it ended in 1998. In fact, my credit card processor dropped me due to high chargebacks, and instead of finding another, I walked away due to religious guilt. Okay, so this is where he's talking about how he got away from porn. His credit card processor dropped him, and he just quit. And this was the 1998 he was talking about. Okay. So that was 3 years in. Credit card processing dropped him. And so here's him talking about, here's his response to Kraut and T's video where he's talking about his internet porn career.
I was in porn websites. That's what I did for a living. I made porn websites. And I did this for a really long time, made a good living for a very long time. But as my YouTube channel started taking off, I decided I was bored working in porn and I wanted to work on YouTube. But I've been doing it for like 15 years. I had a wealth of knowledge in how to run these websites.
So there's where he's caught in a lie. He said he's been doing porn websites for 15 years. Okay. Here he says that his credit card processor dropped him and he retired at 23 and his credit card processor dropped him. And so one of those is a lie. Where was it? He said, okay, I probably made 1.5 million. So we're going to say gross profit, and that's after expenses. Okay. Made 1.5 million, a huge, so that's before tax liabilities. So, and he was talking about 3 years because he said he started in 1995, ended in 1998, which is retired at 23. So he made so in order to be a millionaire, okay, he made 1.5 million after his expenses. Now, to be a millionaire, I was kind of break down, I'll do some numbers to kind of break down what you have to do to be a millionaire. And well, it's kind of like this. Let's say you get a business where you have, and during this period of business, you purchased products for $2 million and sold them for $4 million. Okay. Now that's gross profit right there. So that's $2 million after you've got $2 million left after you've paid for the products that you bought. And you have $2 million. So that's $2 million left out of $4 million in sales. You paid for the products you sold. You doubled your money. That's $2 million in sales. Okay. Then you've got your expenses, your website, your advertising, your buildings, whatever business you're in, you're going to have all these expenses on top of the cost of goods sold. So let's say that's $500,000. Okay. That leaves you with 1.5 million. That's Dusty's number right here. 1.5 million is left after, and that's going to be your gross, that's going to be your net profit. 1.5 million after all expenses are paid. This is what goes in your pocket, but this is before taxes. Okay. So you got 1.5 million. Let's say $500,000 of that is taxes. So you pay $500,000 in taxes. That leaves you with $1 million, right? Now, let's say you did this in a 3-year period. This whole $4 million thing, and just like Dusty did his in a 3-year period. During those 3 years, you're going to blow a lot of money. When you're making a lot of money, you blow a lot of money. So it's you take off the expenses, the taxes, and we're down to $1 million minus the money that you would blow. And let's say it was $150,000 a year that he blew because he was making so much money, and he admits that he was blowing money. That leaves you with $550,000, and you were never a millionaire, Dusty. And he says the same thing here. Says he was in there 3 years, lies and says he was in there 15 years. He says the same thing on Kraut's site.
Oh, do tell.
And I've been doing the system for 15 years now. I'm 35 now.
Please tell us about that.
See, 15, 35, that starts at 20. But according to his other story, he started at 20 and quit at 23.
System.
And if you guys want to make a living doing this, then I will teach you how. I have invented the adult autopilot system. It takes my 15 years of experience and it boils it down into 10 very simple to follow steps. I have literally thought of everything. If you can copy and paste, you can do this. And even if you don't know what copying and pasting is, even if you have no computer knowledge whatsoever, you can still do this because I actually teach you how to copy and paste. A trained monkey can literally copy and paste themselves to wealth as long as they know how to do it. And obviously, I've kept what I've done a secret for the last 15 years. The adult autopilot system is my secret program that I didn't let anybody know about.
Oh, dear me. And what changed your mind, my showman merchant?
And so now the job market is in the tank. You know, I think unemployment was like 10% or something almost.
Listen to his line of shit.
It's hard to find a job out there. I thought that I would go ahead and I would teach.
Listen to his virtue signaling line of shit right here.
People how to do what I do for a living.
That is so awfully kind of our dear showmaster.
So for the last 6 months, I've been working really, really hard on the adult autopilot system for you guys. And the entire time it's been in development, I had planned to charge $1,000 per slot for this system. I think that's a really fair price. I thought $1,000 perfectly fair. But in the end, my conscience kind of got the best of me because I know there's so many people out there right now that don't have jobs and they really need to find some way to make money. And so I thought if I charge $1,000, it's really going to shut so many people out of the system that really need to learn how to do this. So here's what I've decided to do.
Oh, please, oh glorious benevolent porn merchant, or better put, merchant of porn you didn't even produce. How much are you going to charge people for a scamming program that copy and pastes porn they didn't even make?
For the first 1,000 slots into the adult autopilot system, I'm going to sell those for $99.
Yeah.
See, now he's trying to rip people off, but he's trying to make it look like he's doing you a favor. His whole story is just so full, and I said that before on my how to spot bullshit, the landmine of improbabilities that are there. I mean, 1998, that was such the infancy, and no, to quit then. And then he said another thing he said that didn't make sense is he said, I got $1 million. I retired at 23. Okay, if you retire at 23, you have a life expectancy of 60 years left. So if you retire with $1 million at 23, that leaves you around $16,000 a year to live on. So that doesn't make sense. Why would you quit when you're making so much money? Well, he tried to explain that away a little bit. Is a stupid little excuse about how he had some religious epiphany. But why would you quit? Which all of a sudden went away because now he's back to loving porn. Porn's the greatest thing since sliced bread, according to Dusty. Back then and now. For some reason, he had this little dip of religious. Why would you quit and retire when you're making money hand over fist? It doesn't make any sense. Okay. So that's Dusty, and we're going to move on to Tonka. Now, Tonka has been making a lot of in real life claims, and he's been really embellishing his hobby career as a wrestler. He tried to say that he was a paid wrestler on a circuit, that it was his job, that he got paid, and he's making money, maybe just enough to keep the lights on, who knows. But here he is talking about it, and we're going to get into that and see if he's telling the truth on his wrestling career.
For like 6 shows, but I would wrestle like 4 days a week. And whenever I would get back in,
make it a little earlier.
And I would record it on a freaking VHS still because I was still doing that. And I would watch it when I got back every week because I would wrestle 4 days a week for like 6 shows, but I would wrestle like 4 days a week.
He would wrestle 4 days a week, is what he said.
I would just go over wrestling while I was there because I enjoyed, but it got to where there had to be a cutoff. And since I was wrestling,
I didn't show the beginning.
And then you see these other guys who, you know, they're big stars from huge companies. They'll come in and they'll demand to beat some guy in front of like maybe 100 people.
Okay, there he said in front of 100 people. And that's the crowds that these small indie promoters, these very small promoters, they usually get a crowd of about 100 people that pay $5 a piece, $500 total purse for the building owner, for the promoter, and then a tiny amount of money for the wrestlers.
Like, you just won't do what you paid them to do just because, and it's so cringy because these guys above all should know this isn't real. And no one's going to see this. Just do what they paid you to do before you got here. And you weren't complaining when you got paid and now you got the money and now you're going to say, oh, well, I don't want to do it. I won't name names, but this is something that happens with big names pretty frequently.
With big names he's talking about.
In like 4 or 5 examples. It's just crazy stuff that you get from wrestlers that will make you dislike wrestling. Wrestling fans can do some things that will make you dislike wrestling. And for me, at around 2006, it became a job. And that was why I couldn't watch it all the
He said in 2006, wrestling became his job. Okay.
Time every week anymore. And I would record it on a freaking VHS still because I was still doing that. And I would watch it when I got back every week because I would wrestle 4 days a week for like 6 shows. But I would wrestle like 4 days a week. And whenever I would get back in.
So he was saying in 2006, wrestling was his job, his career. He wrestled 4 days a week. He traveled and toured. And he said when he could get back in, which means he would travel for wrestling, and we would get into that is where the state he lived in, Alabama, had absolutely no wrestling. We can kind of take a look at that first. Okay, he's in Alabama. Here's an interview with him talking about the Alabama wrestling scene. For those unfamiliar with the independent wrestling scene in Alabama, how would you describe as it stands today? This is 2013. Tonka, it's almost a wasteland. There's just not enough promotions, and with the exception of a few shows, there really isn't any wrestling scene anymore. And blah, 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 blah. There are a few shows left. Birmingham Hardcore Wrestling comes to mind. Global Wrestling in Pell City, Alabama is another fine show. But with his exceptions, there really isn't much left in the Alabama scene. Kind of sad lately. And down there he says, there are promotions outside the ones you named still kicking. Also, what promotions have you worked in Alabama that have since folded? I know the League of Extraordinary Wrestlers is still a thing. They're a show that runs every few months. And that's the thing. These wrestling promotions run a show only once every 2 weeks to every few months, maybe a Friday or Saturday night. So 4 nights a week out wrestling, it doesn't make any sense. There are a few shows that run every few months, and they've had the same success that's probably the only one going in northern Alabama anyway. So he's wrestling 4 nights a week. He's traveling and coming back in. There is Alabama's a wasteland, so he's going to have to travel to other states. So first of all, we have a lot of expenses, gas money, and even if you crash at like another wrestler's place to save the hotel money, you're going to have a lot of gas money, traveling hundreds of miles to those wrestling events. Now, how much do these wrestling events pay the wrestlers? And that's going to show here in this site here, Fandom. It's like a Wikipedia for wrestling, telling about the independent circuit. And here's a little bit on the pay for the independent circuits. Independent promotions are usually regional and in focus, lacking TV contracts, are dependent on revenue from house show attendance. Due to their lower budgets, most independent promotions offer low salaries. It is not unusual for a wrestler to be paid $5 to $20 per match. Now, if you're a more known wrestler, you can demand $100 or $200. But Tonka saw he was only in the very, very lowest of promotions. What was I gonna say? Yeah, all the YouTube videos of him wrestling, and there are, you know, about a dozen I've seen. There are 0 comments on him, so that shows 0 fan base. The only comments were in the last couple months when they knew it was Tonka Saw and they mentioned something. So he's got no notoriety. And here is the database that shows his. Now, he said he started in 2006 wrestling as a career. Now, this is his career database. And before 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009, all the way up to October, shows absolutely no matches. And this is a very thorough database. But they do wrestle. There are matches that they have outside of this database. This is a thorough database. They have 2,000 promoters who report their matches to this database. But there's the really, really low end ones. They're not in here. Okay. So if he wrestled, he could have wrestled in 2006, 2007, 2008 at those very, very low end places that give you $5 to $10 per match. Now, we just showed that he's going to have, he did and said he traveled outside the state. The gas money then, that's losing money. But that's okay. That's okay. These guys do this hoping to make it big. Anything you do, you're going to lose money at first, and you hope that I mean, all of us have grabbed guitars and joined a band. We've done sports. I mean, I could name things. I've been in stand-up comedy. I had lost money there because I never got paid, and I had gas money to get there. I'll admit it. It was just I was on the low end deal, open mic night and shit like that, and shitty little bars. I used to play bass guitar. I never made any money at that because I mean, I could have been a millionaire if I would have been successful. I could have played bass guitar for the Who. That's what we all hope for. We all lose money at our hobbies. We have fun. We're glad we did it. We didn't make it to a millionaire. So what, and that's fine. But he's telling everybody, and we've got all these people believing that he was a paid professional wrestler on a circuit. And there's no evidence of it. Now, here's what his career looks like. And most of these matches are the same promoter. All these matches that show up are in the same Pro South arena. So he's going to the same old neighborhood place, wrestling. And this is a real low end guy too here, but he's just reporting it. Now, he said he got in an interview, he got inspired by Sanjay Dutt. Now let's look at his career a little bit. Not a world-class wrestler, but a real popular indie guy. Let's see what a real wrestler that's like he described looks like. We're going to go Sanjay Dutt. Oh, I misspelled his name. Oh, there. Okay, it was down here. You saw how his dozens and dozens and dozens of promoters. Look, here's his matches because he's a little bit up on the scale. All of his matches. See, he has 2000, 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009 matches all show up. Like I say, he could have wrestled, but he wrestled for $5. And so we've shown that he made very little money, not even enough to cover gas. That's okay. He was trying to make it in wrestling. So made very, very little money, not even enough to cover gas. But like most sports, when you get started up, you've got great expenses, training expenses. And here we talk about his training.
Yeah. So, who were you trained by?
was kind of trained by a couple of people, actually. It started off, I got trained by David Michaels and his son Eric Michaels. And they're in.
So I don't know if you can hear that, but they asked who trained him, and he was trained by Eric Michaels and father and son Michaels. I'm going to show you that they charge thousands to train wrestlers, but you gotta get the training. You gotta pay for, just like if you're in martial arts, you're gonna go to a martial arts studio and train. It's gonna cost money. It's always gonna cost money.
A show in like the Oxford, Anniston area of Alabama, but about 6-7-ish months into that, I kind of started going to a lot of the seminars. You'll see posters for, like on Facebook, you'll see posters for them, of the shows and stuff.
So he said he started going to a lot of the seminars that you see posters of, and he go to these seminars. Okay, those seminars are like right here. The wrestling, these guys who are kind of got their name made, they try everything to make money. They sell T-shirts. If they're recognized guys, they open their own schools and training. Here we have one right here, the Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy Pro Training Seminar, just like he talked about. $30, sign up now. Well, that's just a seminar. Then you got the regular school, and he talked about that with the Michaels brothers, trained him. They asked him, who trained you? And some Michaels brothers. So here he talks about, here, we're going to show some of the courses here. The wrestling training courses right here, $300 down, $300 a month. Some of them are charged like $2,000-$3,000. 2-hour classes over 9 months. It's like 3 days a week. Maybe this is what he was doing, because remember I said these lies are based on reality. So he's probably doing a 4-day a week. He's probably going out and paying to get trained 3 days a week. Which is, I mean, if he was just to own it. Okay, guys, I was a wrestler. I tried and I never got anywhere. I ended up losing money. I got $10, $15 here, but between the training and gas, I was never professional. Had fun doing it. I'll have great stories for the kids. But no, so in conclusion, he was not, as he said, in 2006, he did wrestling as a job and did it 4 nights a week. There's nowhere to wrestle 4 nights a week. I mean, most of those places, they just have a wrestling thing on Friday night. So he's probably spending money training. And see, because the database that we talked about here, this is an extensive database. Let me show you. There, it has 2,000. What was it? 2,000, over 2,000 promotions report to this database. Like I say, but you can have a lot of matches outside this database if it's going to be the very, very low end. So in conclusion, even if he was wrestling 4 nights a week, getting paid, $5 to $20 and traveling out of state, he's got to be losing money. But he's telling everybody that he was a professional that made money and he did it for a living. But he was doing it for fun. He was doing it. Hopefully he could get to the top where he could be the one making the money. He could be the one selling seminars and demanding $300-$400 per match instead of begging places. And then you have to take the standard rate, which is $5 to $20. Yeah, and here it is. This is where they wrestle. The Pro South, where most of his wrestling matches on the database took place. It's a dingy old building. And because we were talking to Tom Possess. So Tonka blocked you. Yeah, it's just Snowflake. What did you do to him? I pointed out he was a beginner level wrestler at the biggest dive joints imaginable, never made a dime in wrestling, and he grossly exaggerated his puny lowest level wrestling career. And here's where we get into this. Oh, it's just infuriating. Is that someone who can spend hours and hours railing on somebody else, like say Mundane Mad or Destiny or someone like that. But if you dare spend 30 minutes on him, here's what people say. You seem very invested in someone you've never met. Did he hurt your feelings? That is so fucking retarded. This whole community is about people spending time making reaction videos and drama with and arguing with other people that they've never met. It's so stupid. And so I tweeted that out to Vamp Candy. And I'm arguing back and forth because he's got all these people believing that he was actually a paid wrestler, and cognitive thought is one of them. I argued with him on the messages. I said, no. I said, he was in those low-end places. I know about him. They don't pay anything. So here's this Jessica girl, but he's never exaggerated his wrestling career. He has never claimed to be part of anything like, WCW. He was a working professional paid wrestler on a circuit. Where's show us that, which you helped prove by showing that dingy building. See, they're not even, it's just cognitive dissonance is so set in for their little tribal argument. I can show you a wrestling database that shows otherwise. So, like I say, it's fine. You tried to be a wrestler. You gave it the old college try. You were highly unsuccessful. Okay. So Tonka, why did you pout about it and blame everyone else for your wrestling lack of success? Okay, let's get back into that point. And we're going to call this the pouting of a loser. This is the interview with him. And throughout the interview, let me get this notes here. Talks about how much wrestling sucks and let's go down here to where he talks about. Now, he tried to start his own promotion company because he learned that you can't make money unless you're a promoter. Okay, here's the question. What was the experience like running your own show? Did you run the same promotion a few times, or did you run shows under different names? Well, running my own show was quite the learning experience. Honestly showed me that as much as I loved wrestling, I didn't love it that much. Whining starts, and it's not going to let up, guys. I'm just not the diplomat that it would take to be a successful promoter. I wouldn't use anyone I wouldn't trust as a person, and in the pro wrestling business, that was a very small list. So everyone in pro wrestling is bad, I guess. As months went by, some guys fell off that list, and it became truly a low point in my wrestling tenure. I trusted some people whom I shouldn't have, and they used that trust to try to have my show shut down. So he's blaming everyone but himself. It's people got his show shut down. Man, by the time this happened, I was so discouraged with wrestling as a whole that I couldn't really fight them to get the building back. So that's his promotion completely failing. I was just too drained of any interest at that point. I wanted to quit. I'm one of the few guys who ever booked myself into a match. But the hell with it, you can't please them all. And here's a little bit on his training. Getting back earlier to your career, you mentioned you trained for about 4 to 5 months before wrestling. What was a typical day of training for you? Bumps and bumps. I showed up and they kicked my ass for a few hours. Not for free. You just showed that wrestling is a greedy business. You paid money for that training. I remember one day being just tested and running the ropes until I couldn't stop, blah, 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 blah. And he's talking about his wrestling training for hours, where they would train him for hours. And that's going to cost him thousands. he talks about the Alabama scene being a wasteland. Kind of sad, actually. This is Mr. Success here, guys. Down here. Now, if you remember, this is good. For his most all his matches that showed up on the database were through Pro South Wrestling. We showed that. Pro South Wrestling, all these in black and blue are Pro South Wrestling. Hey, let's listen to what he says about Pro South Wrestling. Well, he was in with them for a few years and did a lot of matches with them. Let's see what he says about Pro South Wrestling. Let's see where the Pro South Wrestling thing is. One Alabama promotion you have worked for is Pro South Wrestling. How did you first get involved with this promotion? Was that with Dave Torres, or was Torres with another promotion? His response: Torres is another promotion. He ran Extreme Outlaw Wrestling in the Oxford and Addison area. Pro South, on their hand, then was one of these things that let me get to my pouty voice. Pro Southling, on the other hand, was one of these things that if I look back on now, I would have never went. I don't think anyone killed off my liking for the business any more than that place. This is where he got the vast majority of his database wrestling matches, the one that's close to his house, and he's bitching about how he's quit and he hates them and bleh. I went in about 4 or 5 other guys. They're looking for people to use in the upcoming shows. And they only kept 2. I can't tell you how or why I ended up in Pro South Wrestling, either than just trying to work another show. But once I got there, I just wanted out. That's your successful wrestler, guys. You're a pro. I believe there was some more pouting down here. Talking about some, this is probably the least amount. This was probably the least amount of fun that I ever had wearing a championship. By the time me and Ace won the tag team titles, I couldn't stand the guy. He was the booker of the promotion, and once he saw me getting over, he instantly stuck himself to my side with us winning the tag titles, blah, blah, blah. He was one of those guys that just wasn't a good person. So you can see he's got an attitude where he's not getting along with these promoters, and that is key to making successful. You can kind of see how why he is very, very unsuccessful. Yeah. Anyway, and there's going to be, just like I showed, there's going to be people who are going to come here and say, I'm salty. Look at me spending all this time banging furiously on my keyboard, which is the stupidest argument in the world, is saying that the other side is crying and you're laughing hysterically. It's so retarded. You know, it's I can't even. It's such a tired argument, you know. Oh, you're butthurt, you're salty. So let's think a minute of what Tonka Saw's been doing on his blood spurts or wherever. He takes people that arguably, and they could say that they fucked up, they did something stupid, they were being an asshole, they're being whatever, and he invites him on to Kumite, and he fucking rakes them over the coals, right? He finds out who's fucking up, and that's his MO, that's his routine. Now drink that in. Just drink that thought in. Drink the thought of him, you know, taking Baked Alaska and Destiny and Mundane Mad and whoever's fucked up or done something dumb. And just kind of clear your mind and let it rush in. Okay. Now, I've shown that Tonka Saw has lied to his fans, embellished his wrestling career, and told them he was this big paid touring wrestler and this was his career. So what do you think would be just dessert for that, guys. Now, people that know me in my channel, right? They know me. A lot of people say, "Oh, he goes after Christy Winters. He goes after Christy Winters." Or maybe they would say, "I like the drama." Yeah, Mike goes after Christy Winters all the time. He does, and I do a lot of videos criticizing and attacking Christy Winters. I want to explain that to you, everybody. It's important. I got dry mouth a little bit. Christy Winters was attacking Sargon, and then eventually Bearing 2, just attacking and making video and attacking. So she's like a smaller channel, and she's attacking these big channels in the skeptic community who she deemed as anti-feminist. So what did I do? I went in and did to Christy Winters exactly what she was doing to Sargon and Bearing. That's it. That's it. That's all I was doing. That's what I like to do. I like to give people a taste of their own medicine. So Tonka saw, if you're jumping on everyone on the community and dogpiling on them when everyone else is dogpiling, when they fucked up or when they arguably fucked up or something, and you jump on them, well, here I am calling you out for being a big liar about your real life. And what was I was going to say? Oh, there's something I didn't have the receipts on, but the other thing about Tonka Saw and his fluffing of his real life that was happening, that he said somewhere, he keeps claiming he's an owner of these businesses. He says, "Oh, I don't care what this online stuff. I got it made so well in the real world. I got these businesses." He said that. I tried to dig up the quote a little bit. I didn't want to spend a lot of time digging up that quote, but he has claimed on more than one occasion that he is the owner of businesses. Okay, keep that in mind. Owner of businesses. And when he was spurging out on Twitter back during the Destiny thing, when the Destiny doxing, he was saying, when you find my name, you're going to find a lot of properties in my name. It's like, I thought, how is that relevant? Other than it just seems like it was more bragging. Okay. That's his claims. Tonka claims he is the owner of businesses, right? That he has properties in his name. Okay, now I want you to think a second about all the YouTubers, creators that you like, and a lot of them will come to you and they'll say things like, well, I'm sorry I haven't made a video in 2 or 3 weeks. I've been real busy with this and that. I've been so busy with life. And a lot of them are going to school, taking final exams. A lot of them have kids, family emergencies, jobs, things like that, right? So see a lot of creators who've got 2-3 weeks periods where they cannot put out anything because they're so busy. Yet, guys, this guy, this guy who claims to have all these businesses and properties, which should keep your ass running, has 5 hours every single weekday to get on his live stream. And then he follows this drama, which takes even more time. You have to live on. So he has no. How does someone. And here's the thing about what I was telling you earlier. I said that these guys are bullshitting. And what they're bullshitting about, I really got. So I'm going to tell you about that. Back to Dusty. He said he made $1.5 million online. Uncannily, that's about the same amount of money I've made online. I've made more money online than any creator has made on YouTube. Well, not any in the skep community. PewDiePie, guys like that, they've made more money than I've made on the internet. But yeah, I'm in e-commerce. I have several websites, and I have businesses, guys. I have internet business, and I have a kind of a. I don't want to dox my business at all, but it's like, let's say service type rather than goods, it's services type business. Plus the fortune I've made online. And that's a bold claim, guys. So I want to give you a little bit of a receipt because I've proven these guys wrong. And I hesitate to do this, but I want to go back. Okay, my websites. I take PayPal on my websites. And so here's my PayPal. And this is 2015. This is the money I've made. This is the money I got paid through PayPal in 2015. $206,000. And that confirms here. Now this is less, 199,000, but that's because some people do PayPal by check. This is credit card only. This is all the credit card only PayPal payments. But you can see it's 2015, and we got a match here. Look at July, $40,115. July, $40,115. I just wanted to give you a little bit of something to show you that I do indeed kill it on the internet. And I've made about $1.5 million, but I've never been a millionaire. I've made that 1.5 million over, or I've done 1.5 million in sales. No, I've done, no, I'm sorry. I've made 1.5 million. Yeah. About 2.5 million in sales over about a 12-year period. That thing in 2003 I talked about, I lost money. I lost money, guys, on my 2003 website. I'm not afraid to admit it. So the thing that they're claiming, the businesses, I've got business. That's why I say there's no way. There's no way. And I've had properties. I've had properties in my name, but I sold them. I kept moving and buying houses, and I kept the old house, and I would rent them, and that would be like a disaster. So I've had properties in my name. So all this stuff, I either am what their bullshit it is, or I'm like they are. Like I say, he was unsuccessful at wrestling. Oh, I was unsuccessful at every little thing that I tried, playing guitar, or I was in bike racing, very successful, but only the top 100 people in the world can do it, can actually make money and do it, eke out a living at it. It's very, the money's very, I lost money at all of that stuff. That's fine. I own it. Everyone does it. 99.9% of people just do these things. It's nice if you can make it real big and be rich, or make it real big and be able to do it on a professional level, whether it be guitar playing, sports, wrestling, acting, music, you know. Anyway.
Why you always lying?
Why you niggas lying? Me. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Every time you tell me something, I figure that you're lying. It's almost like faking. Oh yeah, yeah, I know you're lying, but you sound excited, and you know that I know that you're lying. Oh girl, get to the ring. The ring.
Oh, I forgot one thing, guys. Anybody here? Oh, we got the Tonka cock gobblers have made it into there. How you doing, Tonka? Hey, Tonka, is that the real Tonka Shaw there? Are you a chicken shit? That real Tonka Shaw. Yeah, he's a chicken shit. So, fat guy, tell you what, Tonka, that's you. Tell you what, Bake Alaska kind of backed out of that MMA fight. How about you and me? And we'll do this, and each of us will bring $1,000 to the match. We'll give that $2,000 to a neutral party who's going to judge the outcome of the match, and is going to hand that $2,000 to They're going to hand that $2,000 to the winner. So are you chicken shit, or do you want to do that? Oh, come on. Is that a yes? Is that a yes? Tonka saw. Are we going to do an MMA match? Because you're really showing you're real tough, you know. And see, what I love to do is when people make real life claims, I like to call them out on the bullshit. So your real life claim that you're extra tough, I would love to check that. I would love to check that and show that it's bullshit. No? Well, he doesn't want an MMA fight. This just kind of shows that no, we lying. Where was that other clip I was going to show? What happened to it? Got one more to show you guys. You'll like this one. Where was the... I got all these saved for you. Where was that one? I didn't pull that one. Have to go to failures and pull that up because I want everyone to see that, because it kind of... Let's go back to that. Bum. Where's that one with Baked Alaska? Those 11 hours. Here it is.
I've never played any of your shit.
No, we have not.
Press 1 in the chat if you know for a fact I've never played a fucking thing that Baked Alaska's ever done. Press 1 in the chat real quick.
No, I'm on your channel.
I don't care. Go ask.
Stop watching.
This is good, guys. You got to hear this after all I've told you.
I've done things. What have you done? You challenge people to fight, you'll never get it because you're a pussy.
What have you done?
What have I done? Everything I've
Failed at promotion.
I wanted to be a wrestler. Became a wrestler.
Failed at it.
Became a fighter.
Failed at it.
Radio. I was on radio.
I'm not doing it anymore.
Oh, what was that?
Okay, well, I wanted
to be in a movie. I was in a movie.
Okay,
I wanted to do things.
I wanted to be on TV, and I've been on TV. I wanted to write a book, and I wrote a book.
This is good coming up, guys.
Be in the news, and I've been in the news.
Okay, how many did they sell? How much money did you make in them, or did you go in the hole doing it?
Someone's woke. Someone's woke about going in the hole. Someone's keen on the fact that you can do certain endeavors and go into the hole. Or did you lose money?
Because if you lose money doing it,
no,
wow. Man,
free, son. I've been on TV plenty of times. Anybody can do that.
Yeah. So what's
that's all you wanted?
Tonka.
That's the low bar you set for yourself, getting on TV for whatever reason.
Tonka, what about our MMA?
I'm on TV because of myself. Because you're on.
You would direct me. Well, no, wait a minute. Geez, Tonka, if you, it's gonna be so good for you. You're gonna walk away with $1,000. You're gonna show everyone you're as tough as you are, and it's gonna help. We're gonna have a lot of fun. It's just gonna be a good old sporting match. Full MMA is fine. Oh, you got shit to do now. That's what he said. He's got shit to do now. All of a sudden, he doesn't have 5 hours to live stream every weekday. He's got his businesses. What a joke, man. What a joke. Show my proof of what? I just showed loads of proof that you did not become a wrestler as a job in 2006 and go out and do 4 nights a week paid. Go ahead and own it, Tonka. You lost money. You fibbed a little bit. You caught a 5-pound fish and you told everybody it was a 10-pound fish. Proof? He wants me to show proof of what? I showed tons of proof. I think I got. Oh, I mean, that's good that you got into wrestling, and like I say, that's great. You know, I mean, you got to, but you just failed. You know, and you came out with a sourpuss. It just showed it in that interview. You came out with a sourpuss attitude and quit and pouted. So, you know, you win some, you lose some. Yeah, I'd love. I mean, I thought, wasn't failure going to had some way you could set up a match or something, an MMA match? I mean, you've been blowing off, and now you've got a taker. It's kind of different when you're on the defense and not on the attack, isn't it, Tonka? Huh? A little bit different. You used to piling on people like Baked Alaska, which I don't care about. I'm not defending him. He's whatever. He's a retard, whatever. But you've piled on him when everyone else is piling on him, and that's your thing. I mean, that's kind of borderline bullying. I mean, I'm a bullier of bullies, and that's kind of borderline bullying. But I just want to check your badass. You know, that's all I really want to do. So, I mean, you've got a taker. So, I mean, let me know. We can set it up. If you're still in Alabama, we're about a day's drive away. We can meet on Street Beefs, which is a little far for me. And then it would be recorded and everything. And then we could hand $1,000 to the referees there. And we'll do that. That's all you've got is the fat layer, huh? Wow. I could show my full picture that shows I've got just like a fat face. I'm not really that fat, more muscular, but all righty, guys. A short, fat guy? Well, what are you, Tonka? Are you 6'1" like you said online, or are you 6'3" like you said online? Pretty much pathological liar, you know. What evidence? What are we talking? I just reeled over databases and databases. You know, prove what? Tell me exactly what I need to prove. Because I'd really like to get this match in. We'd like to shut some badassery down. Yeah, go over the whole thing. I don't know what you're talking about when you say prove. I laid out the evidence, and guess what?
Yeah, I'm saying it shows your character. My character is that I am disgusted with Connor. You're a disingenuous piece of shit if you introduce yourself right now. What? No, you're. I didn't call you in. You know that. You did. Okay, it's your show. Is it your show? Show me why I called you in. Your show? No, I was ready to end the show, you dumb fuck, and this is on Failure's channel. So again, you're wrong. You're wrong about everything, like you always are, you dumb con artist. You ridiculous piece of shit.
I saw that you were online. We were ready to end the show, and I dragged you in. And I told Andy,
this is Failure's channel, and this is Failure's show. Right?
Con artist. Yeah, I explained in great detail how low-end indie wrestlers make $5 to $10 per show. I show that they're not even playing, and so you're gonna have to drive forever to make $20. I showed how you attended Michael's training and paid for that. You paid for seminars, you paid for gas, and got paid very little. You just do the math. Just do the math. I'm sure you're going to want like a Kennedy assassination type of evidence, but we've got some great preponderance here, little man. So anyway, you need to shut the fuck up and get off my chat if you're not going to accept the MMA fight. Isn't that kind of a taste of your own medicine that you gave to Baked Alaska? No? Are you chicken shit or not? Yeah, we're chicken shit. Okay, we're in the stream. We've got one badass who's backing down. When a guy is being attacked from all sides, he wants to challenge him to an MMA fight. But when someone comes in, all right. That was good.